Hello everyone, how are you? Hey, you know what happened on The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon, episode 2 of season 1. A lot happens, bear with me. Daryl, Isabella, she's the nun that saved him on the road last week. The other nun and the other survivor, the teenager, he's able to have premonition visions of what may come, stuff like that. They're the only survivors from the massacre that happened at the church last week between the nuns and the rebel soldiers. So they're just out and about, going down the road. They're trying to make their way to the port to get on the ship and get out. Daryl's going to take them out of France and take them back to Alexandria, the Commonwealth. And on the way, they're ambushed by a bunch of teenagers. They get shot at with bows and arrows and all that. They take refuge in the woods, but not knowing that there's another group of teenagers behind them, and they all get captured. They're taken to an abandoned school. They're untied, blindfolded, stuff like that, and this teenage girl, she comes up, and she apologizes for how the other people roughed them up and stuff like that. But she said, we've been basically doing whatever we can to survive, like stealing supplies from people, going on supply runs, stuff like that. Then she said that, but you guys seem like honest, decent people. Then she recognized that the other two are the nuns from the church, so she felt bad. So they take them into the school. Daryl and them sit down and have supper with them. They have some soup. And I love this. Daryl takes the bowl of soup and just drinks it like this. And all the other teenagers laugh and do the same way he does it. And he smirks. Then they watch an episode of Mickey and Rourke, a TV series. It's an old-time TV series. And it was cool how they were watching it. A guy got on a bicycle and started, running on the bike. And then generated electricity. They had a cables hooked up to it, and the TV came on. One teenager came up to Daryl and them and asked, along the travels, did they come across two of his brothers? And Daryl says, no, unfortunately we didn't. He said, because they went on a supply run, but they never came back. They meet this teacher. She's an old lady. She's sick in bed, really sick. And the teenagers say that she took them to this school. She raised some of them up as they were kids to teenagers now. She's been taking care of them, but she got ill and sick. And Daryl says, well, don't you have any medicine in that? And Isabella says the same thing. And they say that gentlemen, when this all first started, like the zombie apocalypse, raided all the drugs, pharmacy stores, everything, and held up in a castle. He's got walkers, which he keeps replenishing on the ground floor, so there's like a ton of walkers they have to get through. He's got the drawbridge of the castle up, so they can't get that way. And they've tried to get at him, and he keeps shooting at them, scaring them off. So Daryl volunteers to go get the medicine. They'd be very thankful for it. So he goes with the leader of the teenagers, while Isabella, the other nun, and the other survivors stay behind. Daryl and the teenager make it to the castle. And like she described it, it's surrounded by walkers, the drawbridge is up. But Daryl finds a way through. And he opens up a door and shoves her inside and closes. This is for your own protection. I'll come get you when I'm done. And as Daryl's going, trying to sneak into the castle, he's starting looking for stuff and all that, crates and stuff. And he hears movement upstairs, so he knows the guy's still alive and he's upstairs. So Daryl also hears, I don't know what's coming from out a door. He opens that door and comes face to face with the other teenager. He's one of the ones that was missing that other guy asked previously, have you seen two brothers? He was out in the supply run, but apparently he decided, him and the other guy, to try to get the medical supplies from this guy. And the guy started shooting at him and he hid in his room. By his friend, he don't know what happened to his friend. All of a sudden, as Daryl's talking to him, it shows someone comes to the door that Daryl shoved the other teenager into and opens it up. It's the other teenager. He's still alive as well. All of a sudden, Daryl with the other teenager he found, they start getting shot at by the guy at the upstairs window. He has a rifle. He's just trying to pick them off one by one. So Daryl hands his rifle to the teenager and tells him, keep shooting at him to distract him while I circle around. It worked. Daryl got around, tackled the old guy, beat the shit out of him, got his rifle away from him, held him hostage. And he says, the teenager's out there, man. And the old guy's like, hey, it's the end of the world. You gotta survive for yourself. Daryl hog ties him up. And they find a horse and a crate inside the castle. And they lower the drawbridge to get across. They load up full of supplies, oxygen tanks, stuff like that. And the old guy is causing a scene because, like, that's his shit, basically, right? But it's not. He stole it. And he says, I got family out there, and I gotta find my family. Daryl's like, look, I've been out Midwest. I've been out East. I've been to Texas. There's no one alive there. There's nothing but zombies. Walkers. So the old guy doesn't believe him, and he tries to make a run for it. And bumps into Daryl. They fall off the bridge into down below where all the walkers are at. Daryl starts fighting off the walkers with the mace he got from the church, just swinging that thing, killing like 6 walkers. The old guy, he's still tied up, right? So he's trying to hoist himself on the rope that he's tied up on like this. And the walkers just devour him up. Daryl notices the only way he's going to escape is some of the oxygen tanks that fell down as well off the supply crate wagon. He fired at him with the rifle that he picked up, and a big explosion happened. Daryl gets up from the explosion because he took cover behind a wall, and walkers are coming at him from behind him now. All of a sudden, bows and arrows are flying, rifle shots, walkers are going down. It's the 3 teenagers up above. They throw down a rope. Daryl climbs up on the rope. They get away, and they get back to the school. But it's too late. The old lady died from the sickness. So they all felt bad in that. Stuff like that. Then Daryl looked at the female teenager and said, you're basically now in charge. You've been doing a great job. Keep at what you're doing. But Daryl said, you gotta learn to trust people sometimes. Don't just automatically assume everybody you see is a bad person, right? Like they thought they were. Then Daryl is allowed to take some of the supplies with him and Isabel and the other nun, the other survivor, and they're heading their way back to the port. Then it shows the church and that rebel soldier that got away from last week's episode. He's back at the church, and he's bandaged up, and he finds the cassette tape that Daryl played that said, I'm from a place called the Commonwealth. Then he sees the map of the area they're taking to go to the ports, and he now knows what routes to take. So he takes off in the Jeep to go get some reinforcements to ambush them on the way to the port. And now it shows flashbacks of what happened to Isabella when the zombie apocalypse first happened in France. You find out Isabella is not a nun starting off. She's a hardcore party gal. She's partying up like nights at a time at nightclubs, and she meets total strange guys, and she dances sexy for them and stuff like that, and then she'll pickpocket the wallets or the Rolexes, stuff like that, and then she'll sell it at a pawn shop or take the money out of the wallet and throw away the wallet and have some money. Anyway, she's outside having a cigarette overlooking the Eiffel Towers all lit up, and then she sees people across the street screaming, running for their lives. People get run over by cars because people are just panicking. So she don't know what the hell's going on, right? So she decides to go home, and she goes to the subway station. And she's waiting, the subway train goes by, and it keeps going. It doesn't stop. And there's another one coming by the other way, and it doesn't stop as well. And then it shows walkers attacking people in the train, people trying to get out of the train to survive, trying to barricade up like the other departments of the train so walkers can't get at them. So then she turns around, and there's walkers coming down the steps. So she takes off, gets past them, gets back up to the street level. There's a car that's flipped over. And there's a guy pinned between the car and the newspaper stand, and he's moaning and groaning. So she thinks he's still alive, right? She goes to help him, and he's a walker now. So he goes to attack her. All of a sudden, this guy shows up out of nowhere, hits him with his car, gets out, and he freaking punches the walker. Like, smokes him like he's like a boxer. That was funny as hell. I laughed my ass off at that. He tells her, get inside, but to get out here. And they're driving through the streets. People are running by them, panicking and all that. Walkers are jumping on people. People are speeding by. And she says, I have a sister. So they go pick up her sister who's 7 months pregnant. They go through this. They make it through the town. Then they stop at a gas station to refill up. And there's a big lineup, right? She hugs the guy, thanking him for saving her and her sister. And takes his keys and leaves them high and dry at the gas station. Her and her sister take off. Like, that poor son of a bitch. He saved her and her sister. And that's the thanks he gets. And they stop at this roadblock that the police have up. And all the police have become walkers. So they go right through the roadblock. They make it to the church. The nuns and that let her inside for protection. And her sister starts going into labor 2 months early because of all the stress and the excitement of this walker zombie apocalypse, right? So she gives birth, trying to give birth, but she dies during child labor. So they have to perform a C-section. They pull out the baby, and they give it to Isabella because she was like, that was her sister. And the baby is the guy that's grown up that has premonitions, right? But here's the interesting part. Then it shows him afterwards, and they're on the road talking. He doesn't know that Isabella is his aunt. She never told him that at all. She's kept that a secret. As far as he knows, he was just abandoned at the church, and she's just been there to help him, along. There must be a reason why she refuses to say why she's his aunt. And that's maybe why he has these premonitions visions, because when his mother died, she became a walker. So he was still in the room as she was a walker, right? So maybe that's why he has these visions. And that's how that part of the episode ends. I loved how they show the flashbacks. And then they show what's happening with Daryl and the rest of them. And also, this was a cool part too. I love this as well. Daryl and Isabel sleep on a bed, but they don't actually, get romantic or nothing like that. And she talks about, what's this place like the hill out top? Alexandria. Commonwealth. Like, what's it like? And Daryl says, I was out there looking for a man named Rick Grimes. Or Michonne. But I never found them. He said, I want to go back home now. He said, I got friends back home. He mentions Carol, Judith, RJ, Maggie, Negan. He even mentions Negan. Gabriel, Aaron, the deaf lady there. I forget her name. I apologize. Yumiko, Eugene, Mercer. He wants to go back to his home. He calls it his home. And he says, you guys are more than welcome to come back with me. We're going to take a ship, a boat, and go across seas and get back home. So there you have it, folks. Action-packed episode. A lot of excitement happened. They showed, like I said, flashbacks of Isabella. Come find out that she was never a nun. She was became a nun later on. And basically that guy is basically her nephew, and he doesn't know that, they're related. The other nun, they never mention her name at all. They just call her sister, right? Because she's a nun. And I wonder, are we ever going to find her name? Or are we just going to call her sister, right? I find it funny. Like, Daryl's like, hey, sister. It's funny as hell. I loved it. They show previews of next week's episode. They come across the old guy. And apparently he has a group of survivors as well. But I guess he's kind of, looks of things, I guess he's kind of like a trader. You trade stuff for him for supplies or something. Because it shows them looking at this whole bunch of the stuff he has. But they have to trade something in return for someone off the table. So I'm kind of interested what that's going to lead. And that Rebel's going to get reinforcements. So he's on Daryl's route, right? On his ass right now to get after him, right? And they don't know that. See, so that's interesting as well. There you have it, folks. Let me know below in the comment section what you think of the Daryl Dixon part of The Walking Dead. Do you think, I still think that the guy that taught the nuns how to fight and survive is, you're going to find out, Rick Grimes. And Isabella's going to realize this is the same Rick Grimes he's looking for. Or maybe it was Michonne. I got a feeling it's Rick Grimes. And it's going to lead to Daryl finding Rick. I hope that's what happens at this season. There's only one season. Unless it does very good, then they're going to do another season. But so far, they only done 6 episodes for this season. I heard online. So I can't wait to see how it ends. Stay safe, everybody. Too sweat. Bye.